Hello. Okay, what's happening? It's Friday Live with G&T, and we're going to wait for Thomas to hop on. So just give us a second, please. Hi, thanks for joining. We're going to get started in just a second. Okay, there we are.
Here we are.
We're back. It took me a second because I had to move my car. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, we're bringing the heat today, man. Look, I'm hands-free too. I've never been hands-free. We're hands-free today.
I'm trying to balance this on my steering wheel.
So I can as crazy as I want today.
Uh-oh. When you're hands-free, that gets a little dangerous.
I know. I'm hands-free. I've never been hands-free on one of these lives.
That's funny.
Unprecedented.
And of course, I'm in my car like I've been half of the other times.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's what we do. We live in our cars, don't we?
Right. We live where we're.
So for everyone who's hopping on, we're just talking about, this is a little bit of a real estate rant, but we're talking about what we've been seeing in the market this week, the last couple of weeks. A lot has changed. I'll just start by saying that inventory is actually up 60% since January. It sounds like a big number, but, and again, that's just for San Diego County, but it's really not because there's still a crazy amount of demand. And those two things, the demand versus active listings, is still not quite matching. But Thomas, I know when we chatted earlier, you had an interesting topic about how and when home sellers or home buyers use the theory of price per square foot. So I'll let you go with that one.
Oh man, do we want to?
Oh yeah, why not?
First of all, I want to make sure everyone you can hear me because the bottom, like the mic's on the table, because I'm hands free today. So
no, we can hear you.
All right. So yeah, price per square foot. It's the bane of my existence. I think it's an interesting topic, and I think it's an interesting metric to use. And I don't think it's interesting in a good way. It causes, I think, a lot of people a lot of undue grief because, for example, in these coastal areas here in San Diego County, it doesn't really make sense. It's not very applicable in an accurate way. And I'll tell you why. It works best in a tract type, like a subdivision, a plan unit development, or something of the sort, where maybe most of the homes, the footprints are all relatively the same size, maybe give or take 10% or so. They're all built around the same time. The condition is very similar. The topography, the lot orientation, maybe they don't have views. It's cookie cutter. So you can take price per square foot and average and go, okay, I'm going to allocate it towards the subject property and try and arrive at a value. That kind of works. But on the coast, it's far too eclectic to do that. And when I say eclectic, I mean it's so different. You've got a brand new custom home that's 3,500 or 4,000 square feet next to, say, a 1,200 square foot 1950s cottage. You can't take the price per square foot, sold price per square foot of a cottage, and allocate it towards a 3,500 square foot brand new build. It doesn't work like that. And then people don't think of economy of scale and how when the more units you have, the less it's going to be per unit and vice versa. So typically, the more square feet you have, the less it's going to be per square foot. When you have a small little build, it's probably going to be higher price per square foot. So it just doesn't, it's a very poor way, I think, of valuing property, especially in these coastal areas. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think if you're going to be successful as a buyer or a seller, it would behoove you to kind of stay away from it and to work with someone who really understands values and is not using this silly way
No, someone who understands the market. And I think
Yeah.
like that really, like what you were saying, applies when you're dealing with townhomes, condos, or
Yes.
like at a tract neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the majority of homes, I would say, in some of the areas that you and I have been working lately, they are also different. So you can't necessarily use that. That made me think of too how when there's a lot of fence sitters right now when it comes to selling, and there's a lot of people who are still waiting. And what they're not realizing is the market has started to change. There's been some recent housing cracks, if you will, that we're starting to see in the market. But what I see people doing sometimes, not all the time, is they'll see a neighboring home to theirs come on the market, and say their neighbor's house gets listed for 1.5, and they're like, oh well, if that's worth 1.5, then mine's worth 1.8. But hold on a second, who said it's worth 1.5? It's only listed for 1.5. It doesn't mean it's going to sell for that, which in this market it will. I just pulled that number out of thin air, but you cannot use that theory for everything.
No.
We're starting to see homes actually accumulate more days on market, especially in the upper end, like anywhere from 2.8 to 4.5 million. Some of those homes, if they're not priced correctly, they are accumulating market time.
Yep.
So although it's still a seller's market, it's still so imperative that people take the pricing strategy seriously and really talk with your agent and know what their pricing strategy is. Know how they came up with that price. This is another thing. Do not choose your agent based on the price they say your home is worth. Their opinion, Thomas's opinion, my opinion means nothing. It's the market. So you really want to base it on facts, on data, on logic, and know that your agent is really coming up with that strategy or pricing, if you will, based off of fact.
Hard data, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Gina's exactly right. When something's listed, because I've had this discussion with a couple of people as of very recent, okay? And one in particular was listed a few weeks ago, and they're going, well, but this is on. I go, and?
Yeah.
I mean, because all a listed property is, at best, it's a hypothetical. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So until that thing trades hands and actually sells, it's not hard data. It's
Right.
just, okay. And anyone can throw anything up for any number. You know what I mean? And then you look like you're not a real seller because you're not priced appropriately.
Well,
And
and then on top of that, everyone knows that the longer a home sits on
yeah,
the market, the less the seller ultimately nets.
yeah,
So, it's not about, hopefully you'll hear me with this plane going by. It's not that like we're trying to sell it quick. It's the fact that you really have to price it right from the start.
to get top dollar.
Yeah.
And before I forget, kind of what I wanted to talk about too, along the same lines is, Gina, I think when we were talking prior to this, kind of about, what we were going to discuss, I remember you mentioned, okay, say for example, that whole story you gave about, okay, my neighbor sold for 1.5, mine's worth 1.8. Should I price it lower and aggressively in hopes to drive the price up, get more activity and more offers, and then end up getting a higher price in less time? Or do I price where I think I'm ultimately going to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And we really think it's the former, because we're actually seeing this strategy that has historically worked in some of the lower price points and really made stuff go gangbusters. Pricing really, it's nearly impossible to underprice.
Yeah.
Pricing very aggressively and competitively, and then having the market drive it up, because again, the market will always speak. It's whatever the market will bear, and the market will have the final word. And because we're seeing that work on the high end now. I mean, I'm seeing properties north of $5 and $6 million. I kid you not, go for $1 million and over $2 million over ask. And
Well,
it's
and fun though, it's probably because buyers will pay for properties that are done. If
yeah.
they are dialed to the tens, they will pay for it, and they'll
And
pay
view
more than
view big too. View, especially on the coast, view is crucial.
view. Single stories always get at least
Yeah.
15.
Yeah.
So I think you
That's
and
the
I
best strategy,
talk,
though. I think. You know what I mean? Why I don't get too crazy. You know what? If you want to capitalize as much as you can on this market, price it well.
yeah.
Do not say I'm gonna price it where I think it'll land. Okay, everything in the neighborhood, you know, on average has been going 15% above ask, so I'm gonna price it there. I wouldn't do it because you're probably gonna, in reality, you're going to realize you probably shot yourself in the foot. You're going to be kicking yourself later because, again, as Gina said, the the demise and the downfall of being able to sell that at a high price will be the increased market time. It's not going to work in your favor.
Yep.
So,
Well, I'm gonna wrap us up because I know you and I can talk a long time
I
about all this
we
craziness.
almost need like a full radio hour on one of these. Why don't we just, you
I
know?
know.
So,
All right. Well, thanks for everybody who's hopped on to listen. Again, we try to do these every Friday, and the time fluctuates, but the topics do too. So if there's something you want to hear us cover, just drop us a message. And thanks again for joining us.
thank you all, and we wish you an awesome weekend. Hope to catch you next week. Please tune in.
All right. We'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.